Children's Hunger Alliance for helping me with my 4 grandkids. I send them to homeschooling, and it really, really helps. The food is great, and so are you. Thank you. Thanks to Children's Hunger Alliance for helping. They give as much as they can. It helps. You wouldn't believe how much it helps.
And I want to take time to thank you from the Children's Hunger Alliance for what you do, and we appreciate what you do. Thank you very much.
And I just wanted to thank CHA and their donors for all their help and their support with a rough time that we're going through right now. And I thank you and appreciate you for everything that you guys do for us.
I'm a single mother of 5. I've been dealing with the Children's Hunger Alliance program the whole summer, actually since the beginning of the year, since it started. I've lost my job. I'm taking care of all 5 of my kids on my own. And they're a lot of help, them and their donors. We really appreciate it, everything that you guys give and everything that you guys do for us.
All the donors, volunteers, and supporters of the Children's Hunger Alliance. My name is Christopher. This is my family, from the eldest to the youngest, and my wife. We thank you. We have extreme gratitude for everything you all do. Thank you for your support.
Since this pandemic happened, Children's Hunger Alliance have actually doubled in the number of centers that we sponsor. One of the ways that we had to change our business model was we had to rent a warehouse and come in and package meals. So we had our staff and volunteers come in and help us package all these meals that you see around me. And we distribute these meals all throughout the state to our partners. For me, working at Children's Hunger Alliance means that I am doing work that is impactful, it's meaningful, and it's going to make a positive difference in a child's life.
Welcome to the Children's Hunger Alliance Menu of Hope. Our program will begin in 5 minutes.
Children's Hunger Alliance is a nonprofit that partners with family child care providers, daycare centers, school districts, and after-school and summer nutrition programs to help provide healthy meals and snacks for children in their care. In Cleveland, which recently made headlines for being the poorest big city, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, that need is even more real. Kids of the Future Daycare is one of more than 50 daycares in Ohio who partner with Children's Hunger Alliance to help some of the more than 500,000 children who face food insecurity in Ohio.
Hundreds of school children are assured a proper dinner for the next 7 days. Meals were handed out at Westwood School today, courtesy of Cincinnati Public Schools and the Children's Hunger Alliance. Schools provide breakfast and lunch to children who qualify while they are learning remotely. The Children's Hunger Alliance is taking care of the dinners.
Local elected leaders from both parties are helping to pass out meals to Cincinnati Public School students this afternoon. Council members will join Commissioner Denise Driehaus and State Representative Catherine Ingram at Westwood Elementary. The nonprofit Children's Hunger Alliance has created 10 meal packs for remote learners who depend on schools for some of their meals. They are offering the grab-and-go meals at 7 local schools.
The biggest challenge is what's next week going to bring. You know, if schools are in session, then we'll go back to doing after-school programs. If schools aren't in session, or if they're doing, a hybrid model, then there's still a huge need for doing these grab-and-go sites.
For everybody at this time, you just kind of don't feel embarrassed coming up. Everybody has hit hard times. Parents and guardians have lost their jobs, lost income, and we just want to make sure the children are eating and staying healthy.
Free meals for children who are going hungry. The mayor and other elected officials joining the Children's Hunger Alliance to hand out the meals at Walbridge Park. CHA is working to feed food-insecure children to help fill the gaps when their needs are not being met during this pandemic.
Welcome to the Children's Hunger Alliance Menu of Hope. Our program begins now.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Children's Hunger Alliance annual Menu of Hope event. I'm Nick Akins, and along with my colleague Melissa McHenry, I am looking forward to today's program. While we cannot all be together physically this year, we are together in our concern for the well-being of Ohio's children. The American Electric Power Foundation is proud to support the Children's Hunger Alliance, working to end childhood hunger.
As a Children's Hunger Alliance board member, I know that the need is great, and it has only grown as a result of the pandemic.
AEP and its employees are deeply committed to making life better in our communities. So is the Children's Hunger Alliance. Feeding hungry kids is more than an obligation. It is an opportunity to change someone's future.
When it was announced that schools would be closing, Children's Hunger Alliance immediately began looking for opportunities to continue reaching kids in high-need areas, feeding more kids in more creative ways than ever before.
I understand how important this is because I was one of those children who needed some help. My brother and I would go in early in the cafeteria at school to take chairs down from the tables so that we could get a free lunch. Melissa and I hope you will join us in supporting the Children's Hunger Alliance.
Please help feed hungry children across our state. One good deed can make a difference in the life of a child.
Good afternoon. I'm Kurt Ludlow of ABC 6 and Fox 28 News in Columbus. My colleague Stacia Akin and I are honored to be a part of the Menu of Hope.
A special welcome to all of our viewers from every corner of the state joining us virtually this year. We're very excited that so many more people will be able to hear about the issue of childhood hunger and the message of hope for the children of Ohio.
It has been a challenging year since the pandemic began, especially for children. When schools closed, many missed in-person contact with their teachers, missed being with their friends, and in many cases, missed the meals they depended on receiving at school. Today, you'll hear about some of the work Children's Hunger Alliance and their partners have been doing to feed kids. While we all realize this is a serious issue, many of you may not know how dire the situation is in our state. So let's take a minute to test your knowledge of childhood hunger in Ohio. I've got 2 questions for you, so get your phone ready. Number 1. Where does Ohio rank among the 50 states as it relates to the summer feeding program? Number 1 represents the state with the highest participation of children. So, do we rank A, 15th, B, 27th, or C, 36th? Again, do we rank A, 15th, B, 27th, or C, 36th? Text the word Ohio to 22333 to join, and then A, B, or C to answer. Okay, next question. We all know that more children are struggling with hunger as a result of the pandemic. Question 2, Which of the following represents the percentage increase in the number of children experiencing food insecurity today versus pre-pandemic? A, 20%, B, 35%, or C, 43%? Text the word HERO to 22333 to join, and then A, B, or C to answer, and select your response. So there they are again, A, 20%, B, 35%, or C, 43%. Thanks for playing along. We will give you the answers later in our program.
The children in our state who are struggling with hunger need our help today. You can make a difference to a child who does not know where their next meal is coming from. Children's Hunger Alliance is looking to raise additional funds today, which will allow them to help many children in a variety of ways. On your screen, you can see one of the ways your contribution will impact children. You can make a donation right now by selecting an amount on the left side of your screen or text FEED a CHILD, all one word, to 76278. Just follow the prompts to put food in the hands of hungry children.
There is much more to defining childhood hunger than statistics. Behind every number is the face of a hungry child. This afternoon, we will hear from people who have known hunger as children. They will share the impact of food insecurity on their lives and relationships, and we will learn about the actions of remarkable and kind individuals who made a difference. The life of our first guest had dire beginnings throughout her childhood, but she rose to much success in her career in Central Ohio. She is a great friend of Children's Hunger Alliance and knows firsthand the pain food insecure children endure. Welcome, Amelia Jeffers.
Today I work as a luxury lifestyle professional. I'm a magazine editor, a luxury realtor, and I work with art and antiques. But when I was a kid, I grew up in rural West Virginia to every Appalachian negative stereotype you've ever heard. Those memories are never far from my heart. When I was 7, my mom, my older brother, and I escaped an unsafe situation. For about 6 months, we were homeless. We couch surfed from and lived at the generosity of friends and family members. And we experienced true food insecurity. As a kid, it honestly felt a little like an adventure. My mom, my brother, and I would do whatever it took to make things work. That included going behind the grocery store in our town, where my mom would lift me into the dumpster because I was so small, and I could sort through things and pick out produce or cans that had lost their labels, and then we could make a meal from that. When I was 8, my mom met my second stepdad, and our lives took on a little more security from a physical and emotional perspective. He was a warm and kind human, and I'm always going to be grateful for the life that he gave us. But we continued to live in extreme poverty. We moved into a rural area where I attended an elementary school that was the poorest in my district. 80 to 90% of the kids in my school were on free or reduced lunch. So being the free lunch and breakfast girl didn't have any stigma while I was there. It was a great place to grow up. But when I got to be about 11 years old, and my little sister, who was only about 2, was at home, and I remember that Waynetta would hide food. This is so hard to say, but she would hide food in her toy chest because she was hungry and we weren't quite sure when we would have it again. And I would be at school eating a healthy and warm breakfast and lunch and worrying about my sister who might be at home hungry. It was tough. As I grew older, social stigma also started to set in. In junior high, I remember my family standing in line for the free federal food distributions that occurred, and my classmates were earning service hours. It was really a horrible experience to feel that shame and vulnerability. I'm so grateful, though, for the people who did provide for us. You know, the generosity, and my siblings and I all agree that we'll never be able to repay the goodness that was just lavished on our family. In fact, when I think about the way that I escaped my circumstances, I think about one teacher in particular. In 3rd grade, my teacher recommended me to the gifted program. Because of her recommendation, I was tested, I was entered into the program, and because of that, I was able to travel to museums and experience field trips that I never would have been able to experience on my own. So, it broadened my perspective, it opened my view of the world, and showed me the opportunities that exist for anyone. So never underestimate the impact that a kindness can have on a child. One good deed can make a difference in a child's life.
Please welcome the President and CEO of Children's Hunger Alliance, Judy Mobley.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. One of our goals today is to put a face on childhood hunger, to give an at-risk child a voice. Amelia Jeffers did so much more than that. She showed us the true heartache of a hungry child and the deep emotions that the years simply don't wash away. I'm so grateful that she was willing to tell her story today to encourage all of us to take action to change the future for hungry children. Simply put, our mission is to provide meals to hungry children so they have enough food to live a healthy life. We know that with better nutrition comes greater opportunities for academic success and a brighter future. The headline in Ohio used to read, 1 in 5 children are food insecure. Today, it's estimated that closer to 1 in 4 children don't know where their next meal will come from. Ending childhood hunger is a big job, and it's been made even more challenging in these extraordinary times. We cannot do this important work alone. I'd like to take just a minute for a few thank yous to many that help us make a difference in the lives of hungry children. First, thank you to our presenting patron, AEP Foundation, and our media partners, ABC6 and Fox 28. These organizations have supported our work for many years, and I'm so very grateful. Thank you to Governor DeWine, the members of the Ohio General Assembly, and elected officials across our state who support our efforts. Many of you joined us on the front lines to help pass out meals and saw firsthand the impact this work has on children and their families. And of course, thank you to our many volunteers and staff who literally did anything we needed done to get meals into the hands of children. Children's Hunger Alliance is so fortunate to have an extraordinary group of board members who provide us with leadership, wise counsel, and wide-ranging expertise. Thank you to our executive committee, our governing board, and regional advisory board members for your ongoing support. Partners are critical to our work, whether it's in the boardroom or at a program meal site. It's my pleasure now to introduce our board chair, Troy Kemlegor, managing partner of Northwestern Mutual Columbus, to recognize the CHA Outstanding Programs of the Year. Troy?
I'm pleased to introduce the 5 program honorees who partner with Children's Hunger Alliance, working every day on the front lines to improve the lives of Ohio's children. Here are our Children's Hunger Alliance Programs of the Year. School Breakfast Program of the Year is Winton Woods City School District in Hamilton County. Close to 70% of their 4,000 students live in low-income households. For the past 3 years, they have continued to expand breakfast in the classroom, now operating in 5 of their 6 buildings. We all know how important breakfast is to children to be ready to learn. The advantage of breakfast in the classroom is that all kids, regardless of need, have the opportunity to start their day with a healthy meal. CHA helped the district successfully apply for grants to expand food service for breakfast and also summer meals. Congratulations to the Winton Woods School District. The after-school program of the year is the Muskingum Valley Education Service Center. They operate after-school programs in multiple school districts in 4 Southeast Ohio counties. MVESC partnered with CHA on a pilot after-school program in 2017. It has grown to serve more than 1,000 students this past year. Meals are provided at 17 after-school sites in 7 school districts. When the governor closed schools, MVESC got creative. They distributed meals via buses and set up various locations where families could pick up meals for their kids. Again, congratulations to Muskingum Valley Educational Service Center team. The Summer Program of the Year honoree goes to Parma City Schools in Cuyahoga County. Children's Hunger Alliance assisted the district in securing grant funds to add summer meal programs in 2019, serving 12,000 meals. Summer came early this year when schools closed in March because of the pandemic. Parma City Schools quickly began distributing 5 days worth of breakfast and lunch meals to their students. 16 school bus stops served at pickup locations, and in 2020, they served more than 263,000 meals. That's right, 263,000 meals. Congratulations to Parma City Schools. Our next honoree goes to our Family Child Care Provider of the Year, Amy Lister. Amy has been a child care provider for 20 years and has been a partner with CHA since 2001. Amy applied for and received a pandemic child care license, permitting her to continue operating during this difficult time. Further, she took the necessary steps to obtain additional license, which allowed her to add a staff member and safely care for more children in her home. Amy maintains a 5-star step up to quality rating, the highest rating a child care provider can achieve. She's devoted her home and her heart to her daycare families. Congratulations, Amy. The Child Care Center of the Year is the Treehouse Learning Center in Franklin County. Opened in 2015, they have partnered with CHA the last 3 years. Most of the children they care for receive 2 meals and a snack while in their care. They have operated continuously during this pandemic. Treehouse focuses on healthy menu options, minimizing processed foods, and introducing children to a variety of fresh foods, fresh fruits, and vegetables. Nutrition education and physical activities are part of their curriculum. CHA nutrition education staff have taught the Eat, Play, Grow nutrition program to their children. What children learn in childcare, we know they take home to their families, hopefully helping them all make better food choices. Congratulations to the Treehouse Learning Center team. We partner with hundreds of individuals, community organizations, schools, all working together to ensure children have the food they need to lead a healthy lifestyle. The honorees today are certainly deserving of this recognition. They bring their hearts and their humanity to the work every day. They inspire me by their example, and we are grateful for all who do this important work with us across Ohio, sharing the common goal of ending childhood hunger. Congratulations, and thank you.
Thank you, Troy, and congratulations again to our program honorees. When we gathered last February for Menu of Hope, I talked about our plans for program expansion, a weekend feeding program, a meal program for school breaks, and plans to pilot mobile feeding in Dayton and Columbus in the summer. We knew that too often a day with no school, whether it was the weekend, a holiday, or summer, meant a day without food. And then, just 17 days later, everything changed. Schools, after-school programs, daycare centers, and childcare homes across the state all closed, along with other community locations kids relied on for food. The timeline for expanding our programs was no longer weeks and months. It was now days. Our first concern, of course, was food-insecure children. But we weren't the only ones worrying about how kids were going to be fed. Schools and community partners rallied teams of staff and volunteers to get meals to children. Almost overnight, we had close to 200 new meal sites, and our mobile meal operation was up and running in multiple cities. We began providing supper for many children through new partnerships with schools because there simply were no after-school programs operating. The months since the outbreak of COVID-19 have certainly been challenging and have required creativity and thinking outside of the box. I've got so many examples that I could share, but I'm just going to share one today, which began when we faced interruptions in the food supply chain. Our demand for ready-to-serve meals grew so quickly that our food vendors simply could not keep up. We faced the possibility of having to tell some of our partners that we may not be able to provide the meals that they needed. That would have been the easy answer. But instead, we started ordering individual food components and turned our office into a meal packing and distribution center. During the height of the crisis, our staff members left their desk to unload trucks, pack meals, reload trucks, deliver meals, operate mobile food routes, and again, really anything they were asked to do. Then in September, we leased a warehouse to provide a permanent location for packing meals and to fully implement our weekend and holiday meal programs. Throughout this difficult time, day after day, we saw families waiting in line to pick up meals for their children, many who had never needed our help before. We have been able to help many children and families thanks to the generosity of our donors, all committed to the well-being of children. Together, we've provided over 9.4 million meals last year. And while we're certainly proud of that, it's simply not enough. There are still more children that need our collective help. You heard Amelia talk about being lifted into a dumpster as a child for food, which is truly heartbreaking. And in a little while, you're going to hear about a childhood full of neglect and hunger from our guest speaker, Jimmy Wayne. Most of us can't really understand what it's like to be a hungry child. Yet thousands of children, just like Amelia and Jimmy, fear hunger every day. You have the power to help change the life of a child. I have heard it said that a good deed brightens a dark world. And these certainly have been difficult times and dark days. Yet throughout this time, I have witnessed many, many acts of kindness and compassion. Your one good deed of making a gift today will brighten the world for a child and make a difference. In closing, I want to share a brief video showing some of the innovative, dedicated educators and community partners who joined with us to help children in need. For those of you who have given, and those of you who will, my sincere thank you. Thank you on behalf of Children's Hunger Alliance, thank you on behalf of our board members, and most importantly, thank you on behalf of the children of Ohio that we serve.
The pandemic has had a way of really laying bare some of the inequities in society that have always existed, and hunger and food insecurity is right at the top of that list. It was probably in the space of food insecurity and hunger where you saw the most generosities.
The pandemic has taken a bad situation and made it worse. We know that families are struggling to eat, and the fact that they aren't even in school to get those 2 meals a day or more makes it even harder. So without 3 proper meals, learning can't happen. The breakfast sets them up for learning for the day, the lunch keeps them going, and the supper obviously caps off their day.
I decided I was going to give out this survey to my students, and the thing that really came out of the survey was that about 70% of my students were not eating breakfast, and it was just insane to me. This is something that everyone should be able to provide to their students within Ohio, and just being able to provide this baseline need that all kids deserve to eat breakfast.
Right now, health is a huge priority, and part of that is wellness. Part of that is nutritious meals. We have been able to allow children to have their dinner, and that's through the generous support and expertise of the Children's Hunger Alliance.
Children's Hunger Alliance approached me back in May and asked about the addition of the 3rd dinner meal. There was no cost to me other than the labor at that point, and it was, a beautiful partnership. It worked very well.
I think the rec centers are doing a good job of trying to, help food insecurity by feeding those kids who are in need. When I first started, I didn't know feeding was going to be an option. I thought it was just going to be strictly recreational, but when we were put in that position to do that, I thought it was a good feeling and a bonus, to be able to help feed these kids who are hungry and, need something to eat.
Another challenge was, even though we're providing the food once a week now, how are those kids going to get to it? So nutrition is only nutrition if you can get it in their mouths.
So right now we're actually sitting in our Wentwoods Intermediate School cafeteria, and as you look around you can see it's been converted into a food commissary of sorts. This is our packing and distribution center. It takes a lot of coordination and a lot of logistical support, but we've got a great team.
We are car after car after car for a solid 2 hours and then some. The staffing was definitely my problem, and that's where Children's Hunger Alliance provided the funds for us to package those 5,000 or 6,000 meals into components that we could give away quickly.
Our staff are on the front lines every single day. None of this could happen without them on the front lines feeding every day.
The Children's Hunger Alliance obviously played a huge role in our community this year, but I can't tell you how impressed I am. It's a relationship we want to build upon and expand.
So here's an organization that basically their sole purpose is to feed kids. How do you not get behind that?
For more than 25 years, we've supported the Children's Hunger Alliance because we recognize the importance food security and overall nutrition has on a child's well-being, learning, and development. Through its advocacy and network of meal programs, we know our investment in Children's Hunger Alliance is making a far-reaching impact on underserved children across the state. Our collective support of Children's Hunger Alliance has never been more important than it is today. The many challenges of the pandemic have been especially hard on at-risk children. We offer our heartfelt gratitude to the team of the Children's Hunger Alliance as they have adapted during the pandemic to implement new innovative solutions and partnerships to meet the food security needs of our children for today and the future.
Thank you, Nationwide, for your investment in Ohio's kids by supporting Children's Hunger Alliance. We are here to end childhood hunger. As you just heard Steve Denny from Winton Woods say, how do you not get behind that? Ohio has a big heart. Our businesses and foundations have generously invested their philanthropic funds to improve the lives of Ohio's children who are food insecure. We want to thank the presenting patron, AEP Foundation, the premier patron, Huntington National Bank, the principal patrons, Bob Evans Farms, Discover, Nationwide, and the Kroger Company. To the Gold Apple patrons and our Silver and Bronze patrons, we say many, many thanks. Stacia and I are proud to represent ABC6 and Fox 28 as the 2021 media sponsor. The support of all of these patrons is vital to continue and expand this important work, even as the number of food insecure children grows. Now I think Stacia has the results from our polling questions. But first, Stacia, show us how we're doing in filling up the apple.
Let's take a look. It looks like we are making some progress. There we go. Look at the money raised so far, $27,616 and counting. Thank you to everyone watching today for your donations. Your good deed will make a difference to a child. Now let's see the results of the questions that we asked earlier. Question 1, you'll remember, where does Ohio rank among the 50 states as it relates to the summer feeding program, with number 1 representing the state with the highest participation of children? Your choices were 15th, 27th, and 36th. Regrettably, Ohio ranks number 36. That means 35 states are doing a better job of feeding kids during the summer than we are. We need to change that. And right now it looks like 33% of you actually got that one right. So question 2, which of the following represents the percentage increase in the number of children experiencing food insecurity today versus pre-pandemic? Your choices were 20%, 35%, or 43%. The answer is 43%. Or 211,000 more children this year who are expected to experience food insecurity as a result of the pandemic. And 40% of you were correct in choosing that. Think about those 211,000 additional children and approximately 700,000 total children without adequate nutrition. The bottom line is we have a lot of work to do. And a lot of kids that need and deserve to have one of their most basic necessities, food. So please consider making a donation to support this important work.
We are fortunate to have a very special guest with us today, Jimmy Wayne. Before he became a songwriter and award-winning country recording artist and best-selling author, Jimmy experienced a childhood filled with abuse, neglect, and hunger. When he was 13 years old, hundreds of miles away from home in a strange city at night, Jimmy's mom left him alone in a bus station parking lot and drove away. He will put a face on childhood hunger and make this issue real for all of us.
Jimmy Wayne's book, Walk to Beautiful, is his story of a childhood filled with abuse, neglect, and hunger, scavenging for food, stealing table scraps from a neighbor. While Jimmy experienced a chaotic life growing up, he eventually found a stable home with an elderly couple, Bea and Russell Costner, who graciously took him in out of the goodness of their hearts, providing him the support that he'd never experienced. So I want to say welcome to Jimmy. Thank you for joining us today. Jimmy Wayne, hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I want to start our conversation today about childhood hunger, something that you know a lot about personally, why we're here today. You called hunger, and I quote, "the worst pain I ever endured as a child." Tell us what it feels like to be a hungry child.
Well, it hurts. And, growing up with a single mom and my sister, mom struggled very hard. And there were many times and weeks and sometimes even months where we didn't have food in our home and really depended on organizations, churches, strangers, the school system to provide food. And, during the weekends when we didn't have, we didn't get free lunch at school or where we just went hungry. And it was truly the worst pain I think I've ever endured. Being hungry, it just hurts.
And it's something that so many of us take for granted, that next meal. And you talk a lot about that in your book, The Crazy Years. You survived homelessness and hunger, and at an early age you realized you needed to depend on yourself so you could eat. And you wrote, "Even at 7 years old, I knew that if I didn't do something, Patricia and I would not eat until we went back to school on Monday." Tell us what you did in those situations.
Well, I did a lot of things, but one of those things where there was a lot of drug addicts and people would come to our home and basically they would just stay at our house and sleep on the floor or take what food we had in our refrigerator that mom had purchased with, food stamps, and they'd take that food. And my sister and I was 7, she was 8. And so I basically just started taking the money that was in the pockets of the drunks who were taking our food. I just learned, you have to figure it out. I don't recommend that, but I had to do something to get food for myself and my sister. And I started working at a young age. I would just do odd jobs for people in the community. And, or I would just simply walk up to someone and ask for food because I was so hungry. I just see, someone in their yard getting their mail or doing yard work. And I just say, "Hey, ma'am, you got any food I can have?" It was just that simple. I was just so hungry. And those memories, you never forget them. It makes you more sympathetic for kids, especially who are going through that right now, especially in this country.
You talked about even in times you smelled bacon one day when you woke up. You were sleeping outside and you smelled bacon from, it turned out, the house next door. And you mentioned doing those things that maybe you wouldn't normally do. And that maybe is an example of that.
Well, when you're in survival mode, and that's what I was in survival mode basically all my childhood. And it was that morning, it was actually a Sunday morning, and the neighbors were, they were getting ready for church or anyway, they were cooking breakfast, and the smell of bacon, I smelled that bacon in the air, and it was too much. I went up to their back door and I peeked through the screen. I think I was around 10 years old at this time, and noticed that they had left their table, and I went inside their house. And while they were in the back room or wherever they were in the house, I could hear them talking. I had pulled up my shirt and I took all the plates off their table and dumped them in my shirt. And that's when I got caught. The man of the house saw me in the kitchen and he's like, "Hey!" And I just took off running and ran out the back door of their home and went behind my house. And I just ate everything that they had left in their plates. It's hard to believe, when people hear these stories, it's hard, especially to look at me today and where I am in my life to imagine that somebody has went through something like that, and or to imagine that there are kids going through that right now. They're going through it. And we don't know this because it doesn't make the headlines every day. And these kids can't speak up for themselves. And, it's happening all around us every single day of the week.
You're right. And it's heartbreaking when you really think about it. And so many children living in poverty depend on their schools, those after-school programs for food, as you mentioned. And many times we know those are the only meals they will get. So we're here today to support Children's Hunger Alliance, an organization that helps schools increase breakfast participation, working with after-school programs to provide meals to kids. You talked in your book about looking forward to going to your elementary school each morning for two reasons: free lunch and Nicole Lindsay, the prettiest girl in the world.
Oh yeah. You know, it's food and the prettiest girl in the world. I mean, she was so nice to me. She was never mean to me. But I believe food was probably my first priority, because it just, when you're hungry, truly, when you're really, really hungry and you're a kid and that hunger is eating you up inside, the pain is just so much. Your focus is all about trying to find food. You can't focus on schoolwork. You can't listen to what the teacher's telling you. You're hungry. You're sitting at your desk. You're weak. You're just miserable. And getting to school as fast as I could and getting to that lunchroom and getting that free lunch was just, it was so important. And my sister and I would just go, and we would even ask other kids that didn't eat food, certain foods on their plate, if we could have it. And that's what hungry's like. That's what it's. I've been there, and I know what it's like, and I know that there's kids going through that right now. And this amazing organization is helping feed these kids, and depending on, people to get involved and donate, it's important. I can't tell you how important it is. It's so important.
It really is powerful because, like you said, when there's no school, there's holiday school break, even the weekend, we're talking about not being able to depend on those meals. I want to talk about, during your public speaking events, under normal circumstances, you speak about the power of one. And in the book you wrote, every day was a challenge not to succeed, but to survive, as you said. When you were 16 years old, you met Bea and Russell Costner at a time when you were homeless, you were hungry, but you met them and it changed your life.
I was out looking for a job. I was 16 years old. My hair's down to here, and nothing wrong with long hair, but I'm just saying I just was a homeless kid. I was a homeless kid. I was just looked like a stray dog. And I saw this garage bay door open and this man standing there. He was an elderly man, and just something said, go in and ask him if he has any work you can do. And I was not afraid to ask anyone for work. I would just say, let me pick up trash or something around your house because I'm hungry. And he just said, ask the boss, and nodded his head toward his wife, this little white-haired lady in the back of the wood shop, turned off this radio arm saw. She put her goggles on top of her hair and brushed her sleeves off, the sawdust, and looked me up and down. And she said, come back this afternoon and cut our grass 5 o'clock. I was there at 4:30 because I knew she meant start working at 5. And when you're hungry, you're on time, let me tell you. She gave me a donut and a Coca-Cola that evening and hired me to be her lawn boy for the remainder of that summer. And she would always give me a $20 bill, and that $20 bill would last me from this week almost to the next week. And ultimately, I ended up being invited to move into their home. They must have found out about me living on the street and, couch surfing, and because I never shared my story with anybody. I thought it would scare people away if they knew, the way I lived. So I just kept my mouth shut and just did my work. But they found out about my circumstances and then offered me a spare room in their home. That changed my life. And this gave me an opportunity to go back to school. I had quit school, go back to school, go to college, pursue and catch my dream, which is what I do today. And I know if it hadn't been for that family, I would not be here. So it's my mission to use my resources now and this gift that I've been given to raise awareness for these wonderful organizations. This Hunger Alliance is just, and to help these kids. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's what I'm doing every day, because I know how important it is for us to support this organization, and so that they can help these kids that are growing up exactly like I grew up. And many of their stories are much worse than mine. It's just that simple.
Now, in your story, you wrote the song, Some Small Good Deed, as a tribute to Bea and Russell Costner, the people who changed your life. It really is such a touching song. We would love to hear it. Will you play some for us?
Sure, I'll play some of it. Some small good deed that will not be remembered except by those present at the time. Some small good deed has made all the difference in this life of mine. Whoa.
Jimmy, it's really incredible because we're hearing this song because of some small good deed. What would be your message to our audience today, knowing that not all the kids struggling with hunger find a Bea and a Russell?
A small good deed collectively becomes a big deed and could help more kids. So I would ask the community and everyone watching right now, or I would just say this: if you think your small deed does not matter, imagine what would have happened if Bea and Russell's small deed hadn't happened. They changed my life, and just collectively, one small deed here and there can change the lives of so many kids. I believe in that 110,000%. I am living proof that can happen and will happen.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, not only for being here with us today, but for your willingness to share your story and put a face to childhood hunger for our audience today. We really appreciate you being here with us, because what we all do now for hungry children will help them find a way forward, just as you have done. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me, and thank y'all for getting involved and supporting this wonderful organization. Really do mean that.
Jimmy Wayne, thank you so much. Please consider doing one good deed to make a difference in a child's life. Make a donation to Children's Hunger Alliance by clicking the donate button on the left of your screen or texting Feed a Child to 76278.
Bob Evans Farms is pleased to support today's Menu of Hope event for Children's Hunger Alliance. As you just heard, one good deed can make a difference. Our founder, Bob Evans, believed that, and he lived it. He instilled that spirit of giving into our company more than 70 years ago. We're a family-focused business dedicated to positively impacting the communities where we live and we work. Food and nutrition, health and wellness are at the heart of our philanthropic giving. By supporting Children's Hunger Alliance, you're helping Ohio children get access to healthy food. I hope you'll join us and make a gift today. That good deed will change a child's life. Thank you.
Our thanks to Bob Evans for their commitment to feeding hungry children. Let's take a look at our Apple now to see the progress of today's Menu of Hope giving campaign. Look at this, up to $32,551. Stacia, that's a lot of money.
This is so exciting. Thank you all so much for what you are doing and what you are giving right now.
And you still can donate. Text Feed a Child to 76278. Now I'm pleased to introduce our next guest. She is an advocate for childhood health and well-being, traveling across the state. She encourages Ohioans to invest in the lives of children. Please welcome the First Lady of the state of Ohio, Fran DeWine.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you all once again for the Children's Hunger Alliance Menu of Hope. Hope is certainly something we all need right now. The COVID-19 pandemic has deeply impacted the lives of all Ohioans, but especially our children. For our kids, school is not only a place for learning, but also a place to eat, and it's so very difficult to learn if you're hungry. More than half of Ohio students rely on the National School Lunch and Breakfast programs for free or low-cost meals on school days. With many students learning remotely this past year, however, more young people have been and continue to be at risk for hunger. I want to thank the Children's Hunger Alliance for their unwavering commitment to feeding Ohio's children. At the start of the pandemic, their staff and volunteers stepped up and found unique ways to serve Ohio's children. Since then, they've provided nearly 9.5 million meals to children across the state. There is still much work to be done to make sure all the kids have full bellies and hope. With your help, we can make a difference for all of Ohio's children. Thank you.
Kroger can't end hunger alone, and that's why we've joined forces with the amazing team at Children's Hunger Alliance to transform our communities and ensure no child goes to bed hungry. We know that providing our children one of their most basic necessities, food, is critical to their development and will set them on the right path to becoming productive adults. Thank you for joining the program today and for your continued support of Children's Hunger Alliance, because together we will end hunger.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you to the Kroger Company for your ongoing commitment to ending hunger. And many thanks to Mrs. DeWine for being a tireless advocate for the well-being of Ohio's children. Over 9.4 million healthy meals provided last year. And what's important in that number are the millions of children who were helped, at least for that moment in that meal. But for all that Children's Hunger Alliance is doing, it's still not enough. You can change a child's life today with your gift. And Judy just told us that 1 in 5 is now closer to 1 in 4 of Ohio's children who don't know where their next meal will come from. These kids need our help. We can see the gifts coming in. We hope you will continue to give. Look at that, $34,526 now. A big thanks to so many of you who have made a gift today. Giving right now. If you have not yet done so, you can join our effort right now and donate by selecting an amount on the left side of your screen or text Feed a Child to 76278 and follow the prompts. It's super easy. I just made my donation. You can make a gift now and make a difference. The Menu of Hope giving campaign will remain open through Friday at 1 p.m. So we hope you will encourage your friends, your colleagues to do a good deed today by making a gift and helping a hungry child.
Today, we put a face on childhood hunger. Amelia knew the pain and stigma of poverty and hunger, the actions of a teacher. That one good deed opened opportunities and played a role in changing the trajectory of her life. Jimmy Wayne's personal story is both heartbreaking and inspiring. He endured many hardships, but found his way to Bea and Russell, whose loving support, their one good deed, changed his life. As Jimmy told us, collectively, our good deeds, our gifts, will change the future for children, for families, for communities, and for our state. To close our program, we have a message from Sue Zazon, Central Ohio Region President of the Huntington.
Today, we have heard compelling personal accounts of what it's like to be a hungry child, and we recognize the great need in our state to help our children living in poverty. Huntington has been a longtime supporter of Children's Hunger Alliance and their work to end childhood hunger. We hope you have learned more about the issue of childhood hunger in our state. While much progress has been made, there is still so much work to be done. As we close today, you're seeing actual photos of children who have benefited from the work of CHA. If you have already made a gift today, thank you. If not, please consider doing so now. Your good deed will make a difference in the life of a child. Thank you so much.